Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm like always the backwards hat guy, or a too.
Yeah, yeah. It's getting to hat season, and then it snows again, right?
Fuck me.
Welcome back to the Caribou Media Outdoors podcast. Welcome back to you. You're my first guest, and you're now my first repeat guest.
Yeah, I'm happy you hit the double on that.
Dave from Hellcat Outdoors. We're going to talk bears.
Yes, we are.
I don't have anything written down. So,
okay, good.
When did you start bear hunting the same time you were whitetail hunting, or did it come after, or what was?
It came after. Like I had, you know what I mean. I know we've went through some of my whitetail stuff before, but when I wasn't hunting whitetails the way I am now, per se, I didn't really think about it. And then I remember being in Gray County area and there being reports of like, hey man, like 3 people have seen this black bear here. And I was all of a sudden like intrigued, like, oh, I didn't know we had bears here. And it's like, oh, we don't, but once in a while they sneak up. And that sort of gave me, you know what I mean, just a little spike of adrenaline on it because I wanted to see this thing. And then I'm like, how far have I got to go to get onto bears?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I remember I sort of cut my teeth on it up in like sort of Springwater area, like in Ontario, because they're a little heavier out there near like Aurelia and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I remember, yeah, sort of cutting my teeth on the whole deal up there and finding some guys that like I'd met at work that were like baiting and stuff like that. And yeah, what an experience. Like freaking, I started, yeah, maybe 5 or 6 years after chasing whitetail and like just doing predator control with coyotes. And yeah, now it's one of those things I want to hit it every year, every spring, every fall. It's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the first animal I ever saw for real. Like in a hunting scenario where you're up in the tree stand and
yeah, when you're actively going like pursuing something, right?
Yeah, and it was just like so quiet. It doesn't matter the size. Like I remember the biggest one that was ever shot at the camp that I go to was I think 425.
Yeah. That's nice.
And the guy said he didn't even hear it coming. It was right at last light. He just looked down and it was at the bottom of his stand by the ladder. He was like, fuck me. Like it's just huge. Like just the pads of their feet. They're so quiet. And then
like unless they break a branch or unless they're clawing at something, it's nearly eerie how quiet they can be. And it's just they're elusive, man. Like I remember the first one I seen and it was right at last light. And yeah, just at that sort of time where I'm like, man, are my eyes playing on me? Is that a black blob there? And didn't really thinking. I sort of looked somewhere else, came back, and it's standing up, and I'm like, oh shit, here we go. That's a bear. And it was like, it was past my shooting light anyway. But I just remember being like, oh, now it's down there, and I'm here, and I've never dealt with a bear before. You know what I mean? It wasn't like all of a sudden that's a bear, and I'm a human. Came into play, and I didn't like that game the first time.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely different when you're hunting something that can hunt you, right? Like it's definitely you think twice a little bit. Like I always say that the scariest part of during bear season is the walk out, right? Because
it's like in the dark, or the walk out in the dark,
or the walk out in the dark, because you're like. They could be anywhere, and they're going to be
I'm asking these things to come here.
Yeah, and well, that's it, right? Or you're walking in with bait, like I did last year, and found that sow with her cubs, and she was super curious of what I had on my back, and I was like, I'm getting out of here. Like I'm going to go to this stand later. Like this.
Yeah, and it's like honestly, it's like one of those things. I've only met maybe 2 actual like aggressive boars in my time, and the ones that were aggressive absolutely like blew the socks off me, like put me in a position where I'm like, okay, this thing is a real threat. And yeah, you got to be on your game at that point. But for the most part, man, they're the they're one of my favorite animals to watch ever. Like just big raccoons, like
yeah, because normally, I mean, obviously you got to be careful of them. A lot of people discount them as being a problem or something you need to be worried about. But depending on their mindset, they can do whatever they want. But most of the time, usually they're gonna be curious, and then they're gonna go away. They're gonna leave you alone because they don't want any part of you, unless they've got like a sow with cubs will usually get defensive. But didn't you have one? Was it last year that was?
Yeah,
getting a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, like right at the base of the tree, and it was one. It was a sow, and she had a single cub, and gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous sow. And I remember I was coming in, the grass and the sort of foliage had all grown up, and I'm walking in, you know what I mean? I had my stand on my back. I'm ready to set up, like, oh, like I'm gonna check my cameras because I baited like 2-3 weeks beforehand, and you know what I mean? I remember coming in, and that was it. Like I got in all of a sudden, I'm maybe between 10 feet away from the barrel, and you know what I mean, head down, try looking around for sign because I could see bear shit and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, right on, something's being hid. I go, and all of a sudden this sow stands up, and I'm like, oh, you're eye level with me. And then all of a sudden a cub runs right by my legs, and I'm like, oh, now you're in between. And she just sort of
not where I want to be.
Exactly. And she sort of gave me a little huff and like a little, you know what I mean, that little dragony sound. And
yeah,
I sort of backed up and started talking to her. And the cub was running around like an idiot and just doing cub things. And I remember I backed out, and there's an old wooden stand at this location. And I remember I got up to the ladder, and I'm like, oh, I guess we're going up here today. And I climbed up that thing and watched her, and she sort of collected her cub and tried to move it on, but the cub kept running into the barrel. So I was sort of at a standstill with her, and I just talked to her like for a couple minutes, and eventually she shooed off. But it was one of those things when you're not expecting it, and then they stand up, and I mean, you know what I mean? Like we're bigger people, and when they stand up and they're eye level with you, all of a sudden you feel pretty small.
Yeah. Have you always baited for them, or did you ever do spot and stock or anything?
I tried the spot and stock. I also had, I sort of, if I like when I was talking about cutting my teeth on it, there was guys baiting, and then I remember I got onto a YouTube video, and I'll never remember who it was, but I was trying to learn as much as I could because I was primarily a whitetail hunter. And I remember someone saying like cottontails in distress or a fawn in distress, and you know what I mean, like sort of that young, fresh-born animal from the spring,
like a predator call.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I would run a predator call with like a fawn in distress or a cottontail in distress, and I would run that call and just leave it going for like half an hour to an hour at a time, and the amount of other animals it brought in, like, you know what I mean? Like, I would never think like a cottontail in distress would bring in turkeys, deer, like anything but
What's going on over there.
Yeah, that's it. I actually laughed. I done the same. I was doing a little coyote hunting last year in the spring, and I had like three different toms come into a cottontail in distress, just running in, bright red heads, like, what is going on over here? And I'm like, man,
get out of here.
Pretty much, right? And they were in season too, but I was just like,
oh yeah.
I was like, if I would have had the record button on, this would have been a way cooler story. Like, screw you guys and your mouth calls and your hen clucks, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah. So I started off with a little baiting and then just predator calls, and and the first one I ever came in, like the first one that ever came to a predator, like a predator call. And I remember, I think it was a fawn in distress, and once again, this it came right behind me, used the wind to his advantage, as you'd expect, and I was not ready at all. I remember I had all my stuff set in front of me. I'm staring off into the distance the other way to where I think everything's going to come in. And all of a sudden, this bear's at the bottom of the tree. Yeah, absolutely silent. And I just sort of happened to look down and I was like, whoa, here we go. And yeah, and that was, it worked its way over to where the call and the spinner were going off. And it just sort of sat there after it knocked it down and gave me a sort of 5-minute window to steady myself and get my shot, which was pretty cool to take it in that way. I mean, these were days before I ever thought of recording or anything like that, or doing content per se.
Yeah.
So I really wish I would have caught that on camera just for the amount of hang time like that boar had there. And he was a younger boar, like maybe 350, 375 sort of thing. He was heavy enough to get out on yourself, that's for sure, especially for a first and trying to figure it all out. And it was a time, but yeah, you know yourself, you get onto one and it becomes a bit of an addiction itself. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, that's what started this whole thing for me, because I watched this bear walk in and it was like, I was only 16 yards away from it in this tree stand. And he was just so cautious and looking around. And I could hear him coming at first because there was a river in front of me, pretty far in front of me. Like, it was all covered by the trees, so I couldn't see the water per se, but I could hear, like, I heard a lot of, there was a beaver in there that was messing around, slapping his tail all week. So when I first heard the steps through the water, I thought it was the beaver again. And then I heard the splashing, and then I heard sticks breaking, and I was like, oh, something's coming this way, right? So I grab my bow and get off the bow hanger, and I stand up and I'm getting ready, and then he just appeared. Like, it didn't even, they're like ninjas. He just came out, and like he stopped for a minute and like walked a little closer to the barrel, and then kind of put his head up, and then stood up on his hind legs and put his nose up. And that's when I knew it was about to be over, because he was clearly getting my wind. And then went back down on his hind legs and turned around and walked back the way he came. And then I took the shot, and it was a little high, but it was that whole experience, the arrow hitting him, the sound it made, the noise he made, running past the tree, breaking the arrow, took off running, like that whole experience in itself was just like, and you're right there, like front row seat, like you're not 300 yards away, you're in it, right? Experiencing all of it. And it was just like, oh my God, I want to do that again. Like, it's just like, and I want to see that. I wanted to see where my shot was. I wanted to see everything that I just saw again.
Yeah.
I wanted to take that home and show people, like, look how cool this is, right? Like, look how awesome these animals are so close up. And that's where the whole video side of things started for me. But yeah, it's and to those people out there who maybe don't bait, who are against it or think it's like you're cheating or whatever, I've been bear hunting, this will be my 7th year over bait, and I've shot 2 bears because everybody else around you's baiting too, right? So they have so much food around them. It's not like you're the spot and they're coming to you every single day. You might get I mean, you've probably seen it on your camera. You might get one bear showing up one night, and then you might not see him again for weeks, right?
Yeah, like you can have it where your bait might sit and it'll be a perfect bait. You can do everything right. And if the bear's got something else that's after, or the bear doesn't really, you know what I mean, not really too interested, like you may go 3-4 weeks before that bear even hit the bait.
Yeah.
And then they may come in one night and just absolutely destroy it, eat everything. And then, yeah, they're like, yeah, I'm all right now. And then just boom, gone. Like, or you can have them sit there where they take their time with it, sleep beside the barrel, like, you know what I mean? And they can be on that bait for 3 to 5 days.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. And then when you enter yourself into the mix, right? Like, it's one thing having them come to a barrel that they know is safe because they've already inspected it. They've done their, you know what I mean? They've got a weird way of circling the barrel and coming to an area and knowing there's a food source, and then circling around, winding it. You know what I mean? Like, you'll always catch them licking that nose, standing up, taking everything in. Like, they're smart. They know exactly what's up. They know you're there before, you know what I mean? Like, within a kilometer away. They know what's up. They know when something's different. And yeah, cautious.
Yeah.
But when they decide that they don't give a fuck and they're coming in, they're coming in, and they'll look at you. They'll come right up. I've had them come up the tree at me. I've had them at the base of the tree looking up, and you realize pretty quick that it's a serious animal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Like we've had times where like you generally use the same kind of mixture every year, and then every year I'd bring up something new, like, oh, I'm gonna add, blueberry jello powder this year, or the feed store in town was selling 5-gallon pails of molasses. And I started chucking molasses everywhere, right? Like just everywhere, like a maniac, all over every tree, like all over the place. This has got to get them in here. Or I know you've done the honey burn before, where you burn right?
Love
and it gets everywhere. It's just like
God. amazing things. Like,
you just try everything that you can, right?
Yeah, and you try to find that formula that works for you. And I mean, once again, it makes a difference if the bears are in and the bears are interested or not. Like, you can do it, and the bears could be 2 kilometers away, and you're not going to see them. They're not coming in till nighttime, or or they can be close enough, and they'll come in within a couple of days. I had one stint where I could go out at sort of 5 a.m. before daylight, so I'd go in the dark. And the bait was locked up pretty tight, so the barrel was full, but I could go in there in the dark, do a honey boil, leave it running because it was like a nice, safe, secure burn, so I knew I wasn't in anything. It was a secluded area that was set up for it. I would start my honey boil, come back to camp, have coffee, have a little bit of breakfast, get ready. And I knew within 3 hours that the bears would start coming in. So I could, you know what I mean? I got that relaxed time after I went and done the boil. And then I'd sneak out and just wait and see if there was anything. And I mean, the other part is, like, man, the amount of sows and cubs you have to deal with, and then trying to find the right bear, right? For spring bear, for spring bear, of course, it's all about that mature boar that's, you know what I mean, trying to kill everything and anything. So that's my main stint for the spring, obviously. And fall's a little more open. Fall really comes to just a good, healthy bear. Like, obviously boar as well, but like, yeah, it's just like, if the bear's good and healthy, then, you know what I mean, it's time to take them and enjoy the reward.
Maybe for people that don't know, what do you do for your honey burn?
I've tried a couple. Yeah, I've done a couple different methods. So essentially, I will have like a big can. Like, you can either go buy your own, like a nice stainless pot or something like that, or I've taken like old pots that are, you know what I mean, I'm sort of retiring. And you know what I mean, like something that's hunt camp approved.
You're now a hunting camp pot.
Yeah, that's it. Like, you're a honey boil pot. Like, you're gonna come with me this season. But yeah, I'll start off with it can be anything. I mean, honey itself, like it can be like, I've got away with like clover honey, a little cherry Kool-Aid mix, some marshmallows in there. You know what I mean? And just let it roll to a boil and just let it go. And yeah, I've thrown every flavor of Kool-Aid in there, like all sorts of different things, like icings and anything that's just gonna smell up the air, like liquid anise. I'll get that and pour that in there too, and that just sticks to all the trees and just goes everywhere. Just having that white smoke, when you know you got that white smoke rolling out of there, and it's just like, you can smell it. Like, I know a couple of the cut trails I have to the one spot, like I can be right at the end of them after I've done a honey boil, and I'll walk through them, and before I'm even within 300 yards of the bait, you can just smell it. It's just roaring down. So yeah, honey boils are legit. I've also got away with using like a cheap maple syrup, you know what I mean? Like just the cheap kind. You don't need to go real expensive. Essentially it's sugar and water. So
yeah,
it's gonna roll to a boil and give you the desired effect, especially when you're adding everything else. So you don't need to get really too technical with it. You can go like, you know what I mean? You can just do, I've seen people get away with just maple syrup. Like, so you can do whatever works. You know what I mean? Like make a mix and make it work. But I like some marshmallows, some cherry Kool-Aid, some honey or maple syrup. Keep it as simple as you can, and just let that thing roll for half an hour, and yeah, you're usually pretty good.
We even had a year when I brought up popcorn, like garbage bags full of popcorn.
Yeah.
And we put that in the barrel too. And I remember getting a call from the property owner, Mike, and he's like, bring more popcorn. They're loving the popcorn, right?
Yeah.
They're all about the popcorn this year.
Yeah, I know, that's it. Like, especially a buddy of mine, Steven, he's getting me to try something a little different this year. Like, because usually I'll do like a good filled barrel, and that's usually the way I keep it. But this year I'm going to try like a barrel, just a plastic one, and have a chain run through it at the top end of it, fill it full of popcorn, but have essentially 9 holes in total, 9 to 12 holes, like in sets of 3 on different sides. So the bear essentially needs to roll the barrel so the popcorn will fall out, or you can have like your small trail mix and smaller items that are, and like grains, corn grains and everything else like that. And they will slowly empty out as the bear learns to roll the barrel. So essentially you fill a 45-gallon drum like that, like it's going to keep them there as long as they stay interested for a hot minute, right? Like you might get a week that way.
Yeah.
Especially when they've got to work for it a little bit.
Well, it's funny when, going back to people saying, oh, you don't have to be afraid of black bears. Well, depends on how hungry they are, because we've had times where we've pulled out of there. We've been up there for a week. Maybe we got one, maybe we didn't. The barrels are still full or half full. We leave and then we come back and check the camera, and they've come in and just annihilated everything. And, the spot we go to, he's got these plastic barrels that have a screw top on them.
Yeah.
Like those ones you'd use like to capture water for.
Yeah.
So, and then he'll run a chain to the tree, cut a hole in it so they can dig stuff out, and then we'll jam a big stick in there so that we know if they've been at it or not. Well, they busted a hole straight through the top of the plastic. So then he put a piece of metal on the top with rivets in it, and they ripped that off too. Like, they don't fuck around. Right?
No, you can't underestimate the strength and willpower. I've had some pretty serious logs that I've had jammed in burn barrels, and not burn barrels, in bait barrels, and lodged them in between other trees and stuff that I've got the barrel strapped into. And I have seen them just absolutely annihilate them, snap the logs in half just to get to it. I mean, one phenomenally strong animal.
Yeah.
And the willpower when it comes to food and survival, they're going to win that battle every time. I've had like 5,000-pound ratchet straps where I like 2 of them on one steel barrel, and then had video footage of the bear just pulling at this barrel until it popped one of the ratchet straps. And I'm like, okay, if you can freaking get through that, like, good for you for a start. Like,
yeah,
like you win. Take all the bait you want. Like,
that's right.
Once again, I don't want one of them grabbing me and ragdolling me around like that. That's for sure.
No, and that's they can take up a lot of ground pretty quickly too. Like,
yeah,
last year when I was going in to bait that one spot where I have to go literally downhill on a 45-degree angle all the way down, I literally parked the truck, get out, and I saw, as I'm sitting in the truck, I see the cub just run across the road. I was like, oh.
Yeah. I'll let this one wait out a little.
Not now. Anyway, I get out and I'm like, where's your mom? And I kind of peek around, and there she kind of comes out from the tree line, and she's like half on the road and half not, and she sees me and ducks back in. The cub's still like other side of the road fucking around in the ditch or whatever. So I kind of take a few steps to the right to kind of get a little bit more vantage point to see more of her, and she's taken up probably 20 feet between us. Yeah. And now she's walking on the road. I was like, whoa, hey, all right. I'm not going down to bait the barrel today. I'll do that.
Yeah, no, they've got a thing tomorrow. Like, I remember being on the ground and trying to get to a stand. I had just like a pre-set up, hung up, and I remember trying to get to it, and there was a boar on bait, and he looked at me, and the first thing I do a lot of talking when I'm out there. It doesn't matter if it's a whitetail that I'm not really interested in, or I'm just trying to get somewhere. Yeah. I always just talk, try to keep a calm demeanor and everything, and sort of do my thing. And I remember this boar, he sort of boom, ass to the ground. He ran. I'm like, oh, okay, he's shoot out of the area. So I sort of gave it a couple minutes, couldn't hear anything, right? So I'm like, oh, must be good. I start getting to my stand. Just as I get to the base of the stand, this bear's cut the distance, and you know what I mean? Like, they've got a way of cutting the angle on you and coming in like silent. Once again, this thing came through like dogwoods and some real thick shit and closed the distance on me. And I was just like, whoa, okay, buddy, like what are we doing here? And so took off again, and I was just like, okay, you guys are elusive and quick. Like, just the way they move is amazing.
Yeah, they're pretty light on their feet, that's for sure. What have you used different broadheads when you shot them?
I was with, the first one I ever had was, I think I had we're talking, it was like a Canadian Tire mechanical. It was probably, man, what are their typical ones they used to have there?
Allen?
No, it was
or a Rage or something.
It was a Rage. Yeah, it was one of those hypodermic Rage things, and I will say it done the job. Like zero complaints. I mean, I know, let's not get into the broadhead battle because I really don't care anymore. But
no,
they said, it worked flawlessly. So I've used mechanical, I've used fixed, and you know what I mean? Like, it's a tough animal, but I mean, it's pretty easy to go through with the equipment we're using nowadays.
Yeah, as long as you're hitting in the right spot.
If you're hitting the right spot and your broadhead sharp, and then, you know what I mean? No issue that way.
Yeah, because my first shot was closer to the shoulder.
Yeah.
And because he was kind of quartering away, I think it went in. I kind of shot him like he'd shoot a deer, but it was a little bit higher behind his front leg. So it got lodged into his opposite side shoulder, and it was a Ozcut Hurricane single bevel. It was a 3-blade single bevel. They're small, but they're gnarly. Like, they'll just keep going. Like, they just keep going, right? But if I was a little bit farther back and a little bit lower, like, what do they say? Find the center of the center, and you'll punch right through, because all their anatomy is a little different than what you would think from a whitetail or an elk or something. So as long as you're aiming there, and now I'm just thinking, I just want to make the biggest hole I can, because with that coat and the fur and the fat and everything, any hole you're going to make is going to get plugged up real fast. So the bigger it is, the better, right? So
what an animal to track too.
Like, almost impossible.
Yeah.
Like, unless you got a big hole and it's bleeding, it's you're not going to find very much blood.
That hide and the fur just absorbs so much. Like, like I said, unless it's a near perfect shot or you've got like something that makes a big cut diameter, like you can be in trouble with them. I've been hands and knees in the dark looking for dots of blood that are coming out of a boar's mouth or something like that, like just looking for any sort of sign. And then sometimes like the one I hit last year, it bled like unbelievable, the most blood I had seen for a bear. And I was like, oh, okay, like we are good to go. Obviously that story went a little south, but it was
what were you using for that?
Do you remember? One was was it the
Sevr or the T2 or one of those, or was it something else?
Oh, what was that one? It was no, because they got to me after. So
right. They got to you too late.
They got to me like the 2 days later because of our great postal service at the time.
Yeah. Right.
It was a Schwacker, 2-blade Schwacker.
Oh.
And they
airplane.
An absolute airplane. I love the Schwackers, like freaking. Yeah. And I remember, and it cleared that bear like nothing, and it caused, like, you know what I mean, big wound channel, tons of blood.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, you know what I mean. Like I remember that thing. It went through that boar, and it stuck into the tree, and my arrow stayed with the bear. Just the way the boar came in, and the arrow went through him, but then just got stuck in the tree right beside him, where I sort of had some logs stacked up as sort of a backdrop to my bait. And yeah, the arrow went with the bear. The broadhead snapped off in the log, and so I remember getting there. I'm like, I don't see my arrow, and I was like, I think that's my broadhead buried in there. And even what the broadhead had done to the log, I was like, oh, okay, we're in the money here. And then I found my arrow about 20 yards further, and gave me all the sign I wanted. Like I said, massive blood trail, but that story went a little south when it went into the swamp and the bog and disappeared to the bottom somewhere. So, but yeah, like that Schwager broadhead, it done some damage, and it made quite a cool track job. I mean, obviously until the water, and then anyone would be in trouble. But like I've had some where you're on your hands and knees, flashlight at 1 a.m, and just going through thick dogwoods and just getting beat up in thorn bushes, and then just thinking, you sort of second guess your shot at that point, right? Because you can be 40. It doesn't matter if you're 40 or 100 yards away from where that shot happened. When you're on your hands and knees and you know you got an injured bear, and it's dark, and you're there, and you realize, oh, I left my bow at the tree. I'm here, and all I've got on me is a knife, because we can't carry here in Canada. Which is one thing I wish we would ever change that law.
That needs, it'll never, I'll tell you right now.
It'll never change?
It'll never happen, but it should, because it should for certain circumstances. Like,
you know what I mean?
If I'm a trapper and I can apply for, a carry license when you're on your trap line, and you can get approved for that.
Yeah.
Because you're carrying it for predator protection.
Yeah.
How is that any different than going to track for an animal that you've shot or whatever?
Yeah. I totally agree.
Like, as soon as you get back to your truck or your car, sure, we'll lock it back up again. No problem.
Yeah, if you're caught just walking around aimlessly with something, like anything else, like, do not abuse a gift that would be to us. And I mean, I'm not saying anything big. We're talking like, make it legal, like a 45 legal.
Yeah.
6 shots or whatever they want to give you, something enough that's small, light, durable, and accurate.
Yeah.
When you like, we're not talking, we don't need 357 Magnums or Desert Eagles or anything stupid. Give me a 45.
Just want to take a quick break to talk to you about a couple of things that I've been using that I think might benefit you. One is this Numa Outdoors gear. This is in their Casa OV pattern, which is great whitetail pattern when you're up in a tree in the fall and late season. They also have a Kaza pattern which has more green in it, which is good for spring through to the fall. Numa has given me a code to give to you of Caribou Media 20, which will save you 20% at checkout. Another product here that I've been using for years now is the Bulldog targets. This is a Canadian made target. They're made in Manitoba. They have a lifetime warranty. I've used that warranty twice now on a couple of my larger targets that are outside. It's very simple, very easy. These targets are 2-finger removal every single time, which is incredible. Field point only target. Bulldog's been gracious enough to give me a 20% discount code to give to you at checkout. Use code BD20-Caribou-Media. That'll save you 20% on these awesome targets. Now back to the show.
Like,
yep. Oh yeah.
And just
and then,
yeah. 9mm handgun and just let it be something I can have in my chest and put everyone through. There's training to be done when it comes to that too. I don't know if you remember it. It was something I believe Dan Stanton from Elk Shape had put up a couple years ago, and he went to a place and it was a training center for bears and having a handgun on you and how your reaction time on it.
Yeah.
And Dan's been around a few bears, and Dan's proficient with a firearm. He's a safe guy. He's proficient with every weapon he uses, and he was caught off guard. They have a sort of a built bear target that's shootable, and they have it at like sort of, I think it was 25 feet or 30 feet. And when the thing charges, that's when you're supposed to get to your holster and be able to let loose a couple shots to obviously the right area. And I remember watching him, and the first time it came, he was like, oh, this is different. I am not prepared. You know what I mean? Yeah. That was way faster. And I mean, that's what you're dealing with, right? So I think if there was ever to be something like that where they would allow you, the training would have to be there. And I think it would just benefit. Like,
well, yeah.
I mean, what am I doing with a knife?
Nothing.
Or, I mean, essentially, and once again, I'm not really too sure on all the gun laws because I don't obviously use rifles or shotguns personally. But if I'm tracking an animal at night, say I shoot a bear at last light with a bow, I don't think I can walk in the bush with a shotgun for protection. You know what I mean? And tracking that, I'll have to check the rules and regulations or speak to someone that knows.
You can during bear season because you can use a gun or a bow.
Yeah, but so I just don't know what it would be like after hours, right? Like once it's dark. I mean, I'm sure there's exceptions. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know the rules and regulations on it and I've never had to do it yet. So that's just one of those things. I mean, I've been on my hands and knees enough time crawling through stuff I shouldn't have, and then getting halfway through and, you know what I mean? The flashlight's going and being like, ooh, should I not be waiting until the morning?
Yeah. Well,
you feel a lot smaller than you are. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Like when I started bear hunting, I started taking a compact 30-30 with me.
Yeah.
So it's a lot shorter than the regular size. But at the same time, I'm thinking, am I just doing this for my own peace of mind? Because there's no way I'm getting to that thing. Like I have a backpack on with camera gear and shit in it. I've got my bow and I've got a gun strapped to me. Like I look like I'm going on an adventure for like the next 30 years, walking into the woods.
Yeah.
And I know the guys that I'm up at the camp with, they probably look at me and they're just like, what the fuck is he doing with all that shit on? And really, like, if I was getting charged, I'd have to throw to the bow to the ground, get the rifle off of my shoulder or around my neck or whatever, get a round in the chamber, get the safety off, or if there is a round in the chamber and the safety on, get the safety off. However you're doing it safely, whatever. I usually don't put anything in there, and just so that it's the ultimate, you can't shoot yourself or shoot someone else if there's nothing in the gun.
Yeah.
And then load it and shoot it. Well, they're already on top of me at that point, right? So it's like, am I only taking this thing for like my own peace of mind.
I think so, right? Like, and you know what? Sometimes that's what you need to get yourself out there, right? Like the same reason we use flashlights to get out to, you know what I mean, or your red light to get into your tree stand in the and like, you know what I mean, like same.
I still can't see shit with that little light on.
No, but it gives you, you know what I mean, sometimes that peace of mind. Like I remember I've been in some spots where, you know what I mean, I've been hunting, it's way back, I've had a couple, you know what I mean, like freaking coyotes at dark, or I've had coyotes been running around me, and I've had enough encounters with coyotes that, one, I love them, and I appreciate them, but I've had a couple times too where they've had the hair stand up on the back of my necks, and you know what I mean. I remember my go-to move, like if I had cell service, was just to make a call, and they'd be like, "Hey man, what's going on?" And you know what I mean. I'd talk, and we'd be shooting the shit on deer season or whatever it might be.
Yeah,
and I've had it. I've been on the phone and sort of talking my way out and just shooting the shit, and flashlight going, and then just seeing eyes running by me, and you know what I mean. It's just a calming thing because you know what I mean. I think that's why.
Let me think about something else right now than what's
that's
happening.
right. And I mean, once again, it's for an animal that I don't actually fear for se. I mean, unfortunately, if there was enough of them, they're going to get you. But we're quite fortunate in the fact that they're such a picky and curious and cautious animal to start with. But yeah, I've had it where I've been there, and yeah, I just pick up my phone and call. I think I've called you. I think I've called CJ.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Like my buddy Jake. Like, I'll just do it. But hey, man, how's season going? And not being like, oh, there's coyotes around or freaking whatever, or like,
oh man,
it's dark out here and I've got no flashlight and I'm just trying to get, you know what I mean, trying to calm my wits. But yeah, I'll just do it, and that's.
Well, there was a whitetail season I remember where I was up at that same family camp, and the owner Mike had shot his deer like on the second day or whatever, and he's like, "There's nothing going on at your stand. Go to mine," because he's in like the best spot of the whole property, right?
Yeah.
He's like, "Go back to mine. Just sit there." So I go back there, sit there, and it's getting real close. I'm like maybe 15 minutes before I got to start getting out of there, and I heard a wolf howl. I'm like, "Oh, that's so cool."
Mm-hmm.
So then I turn the camera on just to kind of capture the audio because it's not getting anything because it's so dark, right?
Yeah.
And then I hear it again and it's louder. I'm like, oh, wow, that's wicked. Then I hear it again and it's louder. And I'm like, oh, I got to get out of here. Like they're coming this way, right?
Yeah.
Because I got to walk to get to where the ATV is to then drive my ass out of here.
Yeah.
And it's still like a good 10, 15 minutes on the ATV to get out. So I better start moving, right? And the time when the actual 30-30 actually came in handy was that time I called you when I had 4 bears in front of me.
Yeah.
That I wasn't paying attention because I was on my phone, and I look up and there's 4 bears in front of me, and then one of them disappears, and I could hear it sniffing, and actually its nose pushed against the ground blind I was in.
Yeah.
And it's like this, like, how did I just go 3 years without seeing one? And now there's 4 in front of me. And now one is trying to come through the side to, take me out.
Trying to figure out what's in here.
What's in here? Yeah. And I remember I grabbed it and I was like, well, thank God this is here, right? Because I'll use it if I have to. But anyway.
Yeah, they're they're such cool animals too. Like I've had times where usually you can just start talking and they'll peace out, like they'll just go mask to the ground and take off. Or other ones where I'll start sort of yip, you know what I mean? Like I'm calling a dog or something and they'll take off. I've had it go the wrong way where I've done that at dark and bear disappears right onto the trail I'm taking out, and then you just hear it doing the jaw clicking right where they're chomping their jaws at you and just and I'm like, okay, now it's dark, now I gotta go out, this thing's already pissed, it's already giving me all the warning signs, and then here I come down, like, gotta make my way to the canoe to get out of here.
Yeah. Or you come back the next day the same way you came in, And on top of your tracks are the bear tracks. Like,
yeah,
they're trying to find you, right? Or follow
yeah,
us.
they're just trying to sense you out, trying to figure out what you are and everything else like that. Like, I've used all the tricks of wearing a t-shirt for the day, you know what I mean? I could be cutting firewood up at camp or whatever, or just getting in, especially in the fall, right, where you're still, when you're setting up for baits and stuff and you're still getting a little sweaty. And I'll hang that shirt around the bait site too, or up in a tree that I know I'm gonna have like a preset stand in, and just it can set a little bit of calming, and you know what I mean, sort of get your scent in the area. So if something turns around, it knows half-assed that you're there, right? But they know when you're there. They know when you've, you know what I mean. If they can tell time with their nose,
well, that's it. Hey, you hear these stories of how they can tell, like, just by smelling an area, they can smell things that were there like a week ago.
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks ago.
Right? They'll be able to just dissect. Like, you could have a lasagna there, and they won't for sure be able to be like, oh fuck, that's a lasagna, but they'll be like, they'll pick out every ingredient that's in there, and they may not know the ingredient because obviously I don't know of any bears eating lasagna, but they'll be able to tell that there's pasta there, there's a sort of tomato sauce and ground beef. You know what I mean? They'll be able to tell they'll dissect that without even knowing what the actual thing is. They'll just be like, oh, okay, there's like X amount of ingredients here, and I either like it or I don't.
Right.
So yeah, they're just, what an amazing animal, especially once you actually get into the actual bones and the anatomy of them. Once you have them on the ground and you get your hands on that sort of first skull, or that first, you know what I mean? Like, when you really get your hands on the face and look at the nose and everything, just what a beast.
Yeah, and 1 minute they can just remind you of your fat uncle that like just wants to sit down on the couch and chill, and then the next minute they're wanting to tear things apart. Right? It's like you don't know what version you're gonna get.
And that's it. I remember even the first time I had one like climb the tree I was in, and I mean, it stopped about 3 feet below where I was, but just it was like woof 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 and up, and I just remember hearing the bark and the claws and being like, oh shit, you know what I mean? This thing got there. Like, we're talking, I think it was about 18 feet up in this one preset I had. I was a little more, I don't know. I thought height was my friend back then. Now I hunt a lot lower, obviously. But yeah, I was like 18 feet up, and this bear made it 15 feet in like three freaking jaunts. And you're talking like 3 seconds. Like, not enough time in the world for me to figure anything out other than,
oh fuck, there's a bear on top of me.
Yeah, I just remember looking down, watching this thing going, and just the bark every time it would release its paws and its claws out of the tree, just the bark that was flying out either side of it, and I'd be like,
oh yeah,
whoa, here we go. Like, that was something that'll be something I never forget, right? I remember writing about that in my book after that encounter sort of happened, and just being like, this thing was way scarier than I thought it was going to
be. Yeah, I was like, I know we're talking about black bears, but when I went to BC, and they're everywhere. They're like raccoons. They're literally everywhere. Yeah. They're on people's front lawn eating the grass. They're on their roof. They're just wandering the neighborhood. They're everywhere. And we drove our 8 or 10 hours north, and then one of the guys I was with was like, have you ever seen like a grizzly bear track? And I'm like, no, never. He goes, okay, well, you know what a black bear track looks like, right? He goes, well, there's one right there. Let's look at that. And it's like, looks like a palm, right? And he goes, okay, see the one up here, this is the grizzly bear. Do you know how you know? And I'm like, I'm looking at it. I'm like, no. He's like, because the claws start up here.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, there's a gap, and then the claws touch in the dirt.
Right.
Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're like, oh, this is a whole different beast.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Like, once again, that is a dream hunt for me. Like, that's a bucket list hunt for me, to go for a grizzly with a traditional bow. And still, I know how fired up black bears get me, and I know how, you know what I mean? I know how when I watch a boar walk in to bait, especially like a good sized boar, I like, you know what I mean? The hair still stands up on the back of my neck, and you know what I mean? My arms are like, whoa, when I'm like here, like they fire me up. And I mean, it's like nearly a little fear, nearly excitement, nearly just
it's a little everything.
a little of that love for just watching the animal and trying to figure out what it's going to do next. Like, but yeah, like I couldn't imagine that with a grizzly.
Well, the ones that we did see a few of them when we were there. One of them was probably about 400 pounds, and he was walking down the same road we were mountain road we were walking up. So we kind of came around the corner and saw him coming down, and we're like, okay, we're gonna like go back the way we came, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Go back to the truck, and he was just like, it's like he's the king of the neighborhood, right? Like he's just, there's no fear. It's almost like you know how the black bears, they get curious, but then they'll like back away, or they'll like get shy or whatever, or they'll take off running. This guy didn't give a shit what was going on the path. He was just like, this is like, I live here. This is
he knows who wins.
Yeah, right. I'm the top dog around here.
Yeah, he's letting you play.
Yeah. Just like, you know, he's kind of like the tough guy.
Oh, 100%.
The bully, right?
Yeah, like just letting you know, like, yeah, you can. I'll let you walk in here, like, but if I don't like you in like 10 seconds from now, you're gonna know about it.
Yeah, it'll be all up in your space.
Ooh, that's what I mean. Like even when you look at the that film that Cam Haines done, like where
Bush Dragons. Yeah.
But or like what was the one he had was it Bush Dragons where he had that wounded bear that actually got finished off with the rifle when the guy actually
that was a different one.
Yeah, but that one I remember, like when you go through that and they're going through the alder bushes and the dogwoods and stuff like that, and you know what I mean? Like you just see the cameraman looking by and he's just like, this is a terrible idea. We got a wounded bear. We don't know if it's down and out, but we know there's a lot of tracks and different tracks coming in and out of here. Like this is a bad idea. And you can see the fear in a lot of them. I mean, obviously not Cam. Cam was stone cold in that whole thing. Like you're talking like 10 yards and just like, oh, hold on, I got this. And you draw your bow back. Like, one, different human. Two, what a thing. That was a big bear too. Like a big grizzly. And yeah, frick. If Buddy wouldn't have took that shot.
Yeah, I know, but you think of the shit he would be in if he didn't, and it attacked him.
Oh, that's what I mean. I mean, if the guide wouldn't have took that shot, I don't think a guy like Cam Haines would be hunting right now.
No, but like he'd, you know, if anything ever happened to Cam out there, it falls on the guide, and it's just
that's like exactly it.
The guy, he would have told him ahead of time, like, look, if we're in a situation where we're so many feet away, like, this is what's happening, right?
Yeah, that's the rule.
I did like the Bush Dragons thing that put out on YouTube. I love how you can hear them talking.
Oh, dude, the first time
they're like, just
exactly, and like
it's awesome.
Yeah, so first time I ever heard that, it was dark. It was before first light, and I remember just hearing that, and it was a sound I never knew a bear made, and never had heard it before. And you know what I mean? If you haven't heard that, and you didn't know about that sound, and even when you do know what that sound is, hearing something like that, it can be so eerie in the dark. And just the first time I was done. I was nearly out of the stand. I'm like, is this Bigfoot? You know what I mean? Like,
did I find him?
Yeah, did I find him? Yeah. Like, how fucked am I right now?
Yeah.
So yeah, what amazing sounds. Like
Or the death moan, right?
Oh yeah, the first time you hear that. Yeah, actually, you know why? I don't think that sound ever gets old. It's just
their last air leaving their lungs.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. Crazy thing, especially once again when that stuff all happens at last light, and then you got to get in there, and you're like,
are they calling their friends to come?
Yeah, was this really a good idea?
Yeah.
Did I really
wanted to do this, right?
Yeah, did I really come prepared with this as one person?
Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
Go to bear camp; it'll be fun.
That's right. Yeah, go to a place with no cell service and no way to call anyone. Be here on yourself for like 3-4 days. Yeah, like you. Yeah, I've had some moments. We'll put it that way.
Just make sure you're prepared. Like, I don't know. I always bring way too much stuff, right?
Yeah, and I'm the opposite.
You're the opposite. But when it comes to like headlamps, I bring 2 different kinds.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is rechargeable. Very cool, very bright, awesome light. Love this thing. What I hate about it, and I always question whether I should use it or not, when it dies, it just dies.
Yeah.
There's no warning.
Yeah.
You're walking like, hey, man, this is great. I can't see shit, right? Mm-hmm. It just goes off, right? It's not like, it's not like you're wearing, the battery's getting less and less. No, it just goes off.
Yeah,
and you're just like, now I'm walking in the dark. Great. Yeah. Now I got to stop and like rifle through my bag and try and find the other one.
Yeah.
Which is also great and takes 3 AAA batteries. And at least with that one, okay, it's getting, because I usually just put it on the, there's different settings, but I usually just max it out and go as far as I can when I'm walking out.
Yeah.
Until, I'll do that for a few days, change the batteries, or with this one, I'll try to plug it in every day so I know that, hopefully I'm not in a situation where it's just going to go off, but yeah.
I've been so used to, I think deer season and whitetails got me so used to using just a red light or very minimal lighting. Yeah, when I go up north and it's obviously moose and bear country, it changes, right? There's a different element to it and a different aspect, especially I think the not having the self-service part, right?
Yeah.
Like everything goes south.
That's when you really realize that, doesn't matter how much money you got in your bank account, what you do for a living, how important you might be or other people might think you are.
Yeah.
When you're out there, it doesn't matter. Like the animals don't care. The woods that don't care. You're just one of many things that's trying to survive out there.
And honestly, that was one of those things with like I remember I never even feared stuff like coyotes, right? Because the only encounters back in the day I would get with them would be to see them running across like an ag field or something, or you run into one and it sees you and it just absolutely bolts, like ass to the ground, like goes away. And then I had ran into I remember, and I was driving at the time, and someone had gave me a call on a commute home and said, hey, there's a coyote with mange on the side of the road when you turn off like the main highway onto the road I would take to get home at the time. And so I was like, man, I got my bow in the back of the car. And I was like, how mangy is it? And he's like, oh, you'll see. And I remember I seen this thing that was
can't miss him.
Yeah, I was running right up and down the roads. And I remember I sort of pulled over, and me being me, I'm trying to talk to the thing like, hey man, what's going on? And
how's your day going?
Yeah, the poor thing was in a state, and it would just like look at me. It would open its mouth and like its jaw as wide as it could, and just it ran at the car, and it would just like it was bouncing off the car. I had tooth prints and like scratches and like hair up the one side of my car. This thing just repetitively like just jumped at, like, you know what I mean? It was like diving at the car. And I remember the first time I couldn't get my driver's window up fast enough because I was not prepared. And I think I was trying to record it like on my phone or something back then, just because it was something wild. And I realized then I was like, man, what if I run out to that in the bush? You know what I mean? Like I run a lot of swamps and everything else like that, and it's close border, and I'm like, man, if I ran into one of those out in the swamp, I was like, that would be a different story because they don't care at that point. Like when they're in that sort of deranged state, like, yeah, this thing was going. It was trying to attack anything that was in its mind harmful to them. And I was like, yeah, that changed the way I looked at it. And I'm like, yeah, you realize animals, like I said, once they're predators. I mean, how many people get messed up by deer? You know what I mean? When during season or post or pre-rut, when deer get aggressive, like anything, right? If that animal decides that it's, hey, fuck you, like it's a bad day at the office.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like we can communicate them. Even though we try to talk to them sometimes, we're not going to get a response, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You don't know what their state of mind is.
Yeah.
Do you what kind of things do you look out for when you see one coming in to try and help you know the sex? Because I know it can be hard with bears.
Yeah, like they're, especially black bears can be really difficult. Obviously, like the round hind quarter and the round ass of a female in a black bear, and they sort of have like that sort of like a more slender face, right? Like a typically like a boar's got like a big boxy noggin on him, right? Yeah, and they've got that sort of
blocky shoulders, yeah.
Yeah, and sort of they got more of a swagger and a roll in their in their sort of walk and their demeanor. So, and then I like height indicators. If I'm going to go and set up like a bait area for say, then having one standing barrel so I would know exactly what that barrel weighs, and I usually walk myself to 2 or 3 trees. Like, so if I've got a couple like trees that are on paths I know that they would typically take, then I would leave some sort of marker on that tree to know that. I've even had it where if I'm going to be there for a week, you can even take like some sort of tape, some sort of indicator that you can just tie onto that tree. I've had it with like paracord where I've tied like orange paracord.
That's a good idea.
Onto the tree at around sort of a 4-foot mark, and then like a 6-foot mark if they decide to stand up in that sort of area. And then I know, hey, as long if you're over the barrel while you're walking on all fours, like you have my attention. And then, like I said, if you're reaching that sort of 6-foot mark, you have my attention.
Yeah, I was talking to Evan Williams from Hoyt, and he went to Canada last year.
Yeah,
shot a couple of bears and a moose, and he said it was his first time hunting black bears.
Yeah,
and he had they watched a video at the outfitter before and got the speech about sizing and stuff, and basically was told this is the size of the barrel we use, so if it's standing up and it's over the barrel, you should be good, right? That should be a decent sized bear, right?
Exactly.
So he had one come in that was like he was not sure about, and then he saw it stand up and it went over the barrel and was licking chocolate sauce on the tree, and he's like,
okay.
I think that's good. And the guy, his cameraman, was like, I think we're gonna get in trouble if you don't shoot that bear.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Like I've had it before where they've surprised me too. Like I'd watch I remember the one site I had, and there was 2 different sows that were coming in. One had 2 cubs, one had 1 cub. And sure enough, I'm there, and you get so used to them coming in and out when they're hitting a bait regular, and you nearly get spoiled by it, right? Where you're just like, oh yeah, they should be in at around this time, like. And all of a sudden you see it and you're like, oh yeah, here we go. I'm like, fuck, still not the boar I'm after. And then all of a sudden the bear gets a little closer and you're like, hold on, that's my guy I had on camera. Like now, like, and then I'm totally unprepared, right? Like all all of a sudden, like this thing's 30 yards away, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get ready. And it's already eyed you in the tree. It's already got its, you know what I mean? They know what's up. And then it's just trying to make that decision whether it's coming in and gonna fully commit, or he's just gonna play around for a little bit. Like I've had them play the distance game with me a lot too, where they'll come in, they know you're there, and they'll come in nearly to the bait. They'll sort of get to that 20 yards of it, know that all of a sudden that you're there. So I don't know if they think you're guarding the bait or you're sort of at a standstill with them to see if who's going to take the bait over, if you're going to challenge for it or whatever. I don't know what would go through their mind in that sort of state, and I've never really thought about it too much. But yeah, where they'll come in and play that distance game with you, like come in, be within 30 yards, back up, and be like sort of 50 yards, and then just sit there, sometimes stand there and just watch there. I've had them lay down and go for a nap while watching you and trying to figure out what you are and what you're doing there at the bait site. So it's fun. Every day seems to be a different adventure with them.
Yeah, they're so cool. Such cool animals for sure.
But every year, cameras, like,
oh yeah, I had one destroy my spy point. Like,
yeah,
boom, like just claws right through the sensor. It just destroyed it.
Yeah, like, I found them half eaten before, like,
yeah.
Or yeah, like
I had a picture. I think the last picture on it was half of its, like you could see the crown of its head and its ears.
Yeah,
and then nothing.
Yeah, it's like fuck you. This is mine now. Whatever this clicking noise is, it's over.
They get so curious with the cameras. It's funny.
Yeah, and with such a good sense of smell and everything, like you really need to like. Now with cameras, I'll try to wear some gloves or something like that.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Or like mitigate, like I won't use straps. I'll use like anything else that I can have, like gardening twine. You know what I mean? This sort of stuff.
Oh, you twist. Yeah. It's a good idea too.
You still have to be careful what you have on your hands and what you're leaving on the camera, because they'll smell it. If you've just went and baited up and you've got syrup everywhere, you know what I mean? Or you go when you're like, I'm terrible with bait. Like I'll get like those big bags that like different bait, and it's like candies and chocolates and stuff, and there I will be just like the bear itself, like, oh, I'll try one of these, see what it's like, and then I'm like,
gotta test
now I can't adjust my camera over there, like, or I gotta go in my bag and look for rubber gloves, otherwise I'll lose another camera.
But, you gonna use the those huge bags of Nutri-Grain bars again? Do you think this year?
I think so. They done really well last year. Like that was Sugar Addict. Yeah, they do really good. Like there's a few places. There's like a local theater to me too that is like an old school theater, and I'm gonna use them for the popcorn. I think, or I hope so. Anyway, just you got to find those things that make it easy, right, and a little cheaper. Like. Yeah, me or you can walk into any grocery store or convenience store and buy like the microwavable popcorn and all the rest of it. But
you're spending a week doing that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. To get what I need, like go to a theater and be like, hey man, this is what I'm using it for. This isn't for human consumption. This isn't for me to resell. This is where it's going. And I will sign a waiver. I will sign whatever you need to make this happen. But I just need garbage bags.
There's a lot of people on Marketplace that like do stuff like that. Like I found somebody a couple years ago, and she was specifically doing popcorn for bear bait.
Yeah,
I think she had one of those big
pans or whatever,
like you see at a fair, right?
Oh yeah, like the big. Yeah, the big
just going, right? Just filling bags and just like how many do you need? I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, like now we're talking
so many. This is exactly what I want. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I like that bear feeder place, or not bear feeder. That's why I like the Sugar Addict place up by us in Ontario, because you know what I mean? They just package everything. The prices are good and makes it convenient. Like, well, you know how much bait I went through last year between between that and then getting, what was it, 1,100 pounds worth of freaking corn. Like,
how many barrels were you setting up though?
That was one barrel in one spot, like, and I just heavily loaded it.
Oh my god!
So the barrel itself had.
I thought that was spread out across the property.
No, that one was just like a hot site. I was really adamant that I was getting a bear in that spot, and I always knew that area was like a little hot spot for bears, just the way the terrain works for it and everything else like that. It's sort of in between these twin lakes too, and it's got some real cool funnel spots, and it's like one of those spots, like when I go to hunts, I just feel at home there. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is my spot, like for a little bit of moose season and then bear season. So yeah, I had that barrel in there, and yeah, there was 200 pounds worth of like Nutri-Grain bars and these other, I think they call it the addict mix or the bear mix. It just had everything from Smarties, small chocolates, crackers, parts of donuts, like,
oh yeah,
everything in there, everything that was good.
I put everything there: donuts, fish, like,
yeah. Oh yeah,
like obviously, if you can get your hands on a beaver or two, you're in
for the spring, especially the spring. they just go absolutely bananas on it. But yeah, I had 200 pounds worth of sugar addict mix, and then yeah, I loaded up a truck with like 1,100 pounds worth of corn from local farmers, and then had to throw it in giant heavy duty bags. And yeah, they were 90-pound bags. So there's a few trips involved to get it there. And I filled the whole bait site like around the barrel and in front of it. I was just dumping these bags of corn until all 1,100 pounds was gone. And I remember standing around the barrel, and I was like sinking through a foot of corn at a time, like just in this. But when they came in, man, did they ever clear it? And then I was putting like maple syrup, and we're talking like Kool-Aid mix all over this corn that was on the ground. And did they ever just crater that area out? Like they were literally just sleeping on top of the corn, and then just like I had pictures of them just like sort of waking up out of a dead sleep. And it back. Yeah, and I'm just like, man, that's awesome. You guys are living my dream right now.
You're welcome. Why am I not there right now?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, that seems to be how it goes. Like the last few years, it's like we'll set the bait. Oh man, they're hitting it hard. This is fantastic. And then the week you're up there, there's like nothing that happens, or maybe a couple of guys get a bear and nobody else. And then it's like the week or two after you're gone, your camera just lights up with them just going to town.
And that's that thing, right? That's that part of it where I know those buggers know when I'm within the area, right? Like they know when I'm within that kilometer distance, and yeah, they decide whether they're making the move or they're just going to wait it out till night, or they can wait a couple days. Like they've got plenty to eat, especially in the fall. So yeah,
it's crazy looking at John and Jen Rivet, who have their outfitters in Alberta. That's where Cam goes every year for his black bear hunts. They have videos that they post on their Instagram where they're setting the bait, they're loading the barrels, and like 3 or 4 bears are coming in while they're there.
Like, how many bears do you need to encounter to feel like that's comfortable? Oh, man. Like, it's just got to be like an everyday thing for me to get
everywhere.
Yeah, like
the numbers. Well, is there anything else you want to hit on before we shut her down? Anything else you want to say about people?
No, I mean, honestly, it's like when you're doing it, if you're going to bait, which is definitely the most effective method you're going to do, especially here in Ontario. once again, I like this 2-barrel method, having your one fixed barrel, and then one maybe a floater roller barrel with that sort of 12 hole in it and the smaller bait inside, so they've got to roll it, and it's like a slow release.
Are you still securing that to a tree, but just with a longer chain or something? Or?
Yeah, so it'll be that one will have a chain that goes through the barrel, like at the top end of it, and then that barrel just lays right on its side, or you can stand it up. It doesn't really matter. They're going to come in and pull it over anyway. And once they realize when it moves and rolls that it drops those small items, then it's sort of game on for that one. Like they'll figure anything out. They're like a crow. They're smart enough to figure out when there's a treat at the other side of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's if you can get away with setting up 2 barrels, one with smaller stuff, and then one that's like a sort of fixed barrel standing up. And yeah, cameras. I find I don't like cameras too close now. I've been keeping my cameras around 20 yards away.
Oh yeah,
a little around 6.5 to 8 feet, and sort of
like
that
pointing
way.
down.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been finding that has saved me. I didn't have any cameras messed up last year, and in my years past, I bet you I've lost 10 cameras by doing it different ways. So that way worked really well for me last year. And honestly, I probably had between 12 or 13 different boars last year on camera. So if they didn't mess with it, then I know at least in that area, or maybe it was just for this year. Maybe I just got really lucky this year. We'll find out by the end of this one. But yeah, I like camera at a little bit of a distance because they do hear the click. They do not like it so far from what I've seen. And yeah, just honestly, the small tips and tricks, right? Like leaving an item of clothing. If you know you're going to go in there and whatever, like even if you get there for the one day and you're there for 2 or 3 days, take that one shirt, take that pair of socks, whatever it might be. If you can hang it up for the time that you're there, like that means it stays there overnight. It stays there in the day when you're not there. And yeah, it just gets them used to your sort of profile, your scent.
So if they're smelling that and they're still eating there, then they're not going to be afraid if they smell you when you're actually there.
Yeah, or at least it puts them at ease a little while, because say if you have a shirt or a pair of socks there and boom, they may be cautious. They may play that sort of 50, 60-yard game, but eventually they're like not seeing anything that's spooking them. They're not getting anything that's crazy, no sounds, whatever. They cautiously come in, they start eating. They can still smell your scent in that area, but nothing's happening. Then it sort of, I find it gives them some sort of peace of mind. And sometimes with a bear, when the nose is so good, like you need every advantage you can.
Yeah, you might beat their vision, you won't beat their nose or their ears, but yeah, they don't necessarily have the best vision, but their nose
I think it keeps them curious too, right? Like when their vision isn't like right on point, it keeps them curious. It keeps them staring at where you're at. I find it keeps them at the bottom of your trees. And yeah, so that honey boil is a must. If you're setting up, if you're just starting a bait site, start a honey boil. Like do it as you leave, or get like some sort of sprayable attractant. Like I've had it with like good spray bottle with water and Kool-Aid mixes, like all together, just like have them in there, or like liquid anise and vanillas. And then just spray that all around, spray it into the air, spray it into the cedars, the trees, anything that's sort of leafed up, or into the bark of other trees, and let that just go and sort of sit nice and high. Cans of tuna, the salmon, and sort of have a couple holes punched in those and have them sort of secure to a tree so they're not just going missing and bears or any other animals going around with a piece of freaking steel tin.
Yeah, that's right.
I've tried it with cheesecloth and stuff like that, and having like tuna wrapped in cheesecloth and then hanging over the trees. But I find the birds just attack them, or the raccoons attack them in the night and rip them, and they're just shredded, and you're left just cleaning up mess. And then tampons soaked in scents too.
Oh yeah.
And then you can sort of string them up around a tree, or sort of tie a rope around a tree and have them sort of hung in there, so you're not essentially littering. But yeah, you can soak those in some pretty good scent too, and just let the air take it, right? Let the air take it up. And if you can get those up a little higher in a tree, if you can set up your climbing sticks and go up and do a couple scent traps like that, like 20 feet up in the air, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
So those things, if you can get the bait started, once they know it's there, it's game over. And then obviously something I never really hit on was when I'm baited up in my barrel, then I will take cooking oil, cooking grease, you know what I mean, from your deep fryer. And I'll go
to a restaurant.
Go to a restaurant because they pay to get rid of it, and they will gladly give you a 5-gallon pail, or you know what I mean, even if it's 4 liters or something like that. They will gladly give you that stuff. And I mean, that stuff's gold. Like, I put that right in front of the barrel, right in front of the opening. Mm-hmm. And like, I will clear out like a 4-foot section. I'll rake it right out so it's bare dirt, and soak that area in front of the barrel. For anyone that doesn't understand this, Josh already does, but that way when a bear or a raccoon or a curious animal walks to that bait barrel and then walks into that oil, it leaves, and as it leaves, it takes that oil into their treads and into their track and walks it 200 yards, a kilometer the other way. And with a bear having a nose the way it does, that bear is going to be like, oh, 2 days ago there was cooking oil, like, you know what I mean, on all the scents that came off the cooking oil.
And then another bear's going to smell it.
Yeah, exactly. So they're gonna get onto that and be like, oh, I can follow this right to the source. And it's, you know what I mean, like, it can make life very easy and get your bait started and get your bait recognized. So
yeah,
that's another one there. Those are the tricks to get it done, and it's patience, right? And other than that, just knowing the difference between your boars, your sows. I always have a sort of rule of thumb. If I have a bear come in, I like that 5 to 10 minute rule, like, because they don't typically just run in, take a bite, and then run away.
No.
And you're not going to see them. From what I've seen, they may cautiously come in, but you'll get 10 to 30 minute encounters quite easily. And that gives you enough time to sort of gauge the bear, gauge what you're dealing with. And the most important thing, especially for the spring, is to see if it's a sow, then if there's cubs with it, because the cubs can lay back, they can just be laying down doing their thing, or, you know what I mean, they can fuck off like 50, 60 yards away.
Yeah, they can be up in a tree somewhere waiting.
That's what I mean. Yeah, they very, very much tree themselves when they're strong enough. And yeah, to wait it out, wait and look to see that bear's body language, if it's looking around, looking for something. So yeah, there's a lot of caution that comes with it, right? Because it's easy to make a mistake out there.
Yeah, like, very easy.
So it happens. And yeah, shot placement, like, they're a tricky animal.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to bring up again, was just if you find yourself at full draw with a bear, just remind yourself it's not a deer. Don't be shooting behind the shoulder. Just go back a little bit more.
Yeah, like, I'll go center of the center, and I'll also take it just a little step further to, like, you know what I mean? I'll choose maybe an inch or two, maybe 5 inches or a hand width, sometimes even towards the shoulder if that opportunity comes, because I've had center of the center and realized that I could have went like a little closer to the shoulder, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, they're even just the way their bodies contort different ways and they twist, and their vitals are very much protected in different stances they take. So yeah, there's a lot to learn on the shot placement for bears too. So if you want to get into it, definitely do your research. I mean, mistakes are still going to be made even by the best. And regular human beings like myself, like I've had it. I lost my first one last fall, and the shot was perfect, but the way the bear escaped and the way the bear ran for water and got into wherever the hell it went to, yeah, they sting when you lose any of them. So
yeah, I remember the first one I shot ran and ran and ran. I'm thinking, just go down.
Yeah,
that sounds really far away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that thing has 18 inches of an arrow in it.
Yeah.
And it's still going, because there was like 11 inches on the ground, and it's still clipping, like running for its life, right?
Yeah.
And it's like
talking 40, is it like 40 to 50K an hour they can just haul?
Just poof.
Yeah. And then give them a big spike of adrenaline.
Yeah.
It's
away they go.
Yeah.
So be careful out there. It's fun. It's exciting. It's scary at times, but
don't let the internet tough guys tell you that it's not scary.
Yeah, they're full of shit.
Yeah, I'll be the first to tell you. I got spooked out by it. I got spooked out by many things, and I pride myself on going in with a very little to no light when I go hunting just about anywhere. So yeah, man, like have their respect for that animal. Like, people think they're cuddly and everything else like that, but they can all take a turn.
Yeah.
Like, unlikely for the most part, but they do.
Yeah, that one, that picture you posted was that, I think you were saying that was the one that got away, that you didn't find. That was beauty.
Yeah, that's what this spring, and hopefully this spring, you never know, like it might take me to the fall to run into another equal caliber boar like that.
Yeah, you're not going to shoot the first one you see. You're going to want
no, it's definitely definitely not my deal with bear season or animals in general. So I'll be looking for something special, something over that 400-pound mark, and yeah, try to you know what I mean, rewrite that story that went a little south for me last year, and it stung. You know what I mean? You got the first call.
I felt so bad. I felt so bad. It never goes, like, you carry that with you, right, forever.
Yeah, well, it took me out for my first 2 weeks of whitetail season, because I remember I got back and
you didn't want to pick up your bow.
Yeah, I hung up my equipment, and I was so disappointed in what happened and the way it went down, and how I wasn't able to track this animal by, you know what I mean? Like, I had every option I would have wanted, other than another 2 weeks to, you know what I mean, be in that spot and just keep looking. But really, all I would have got was a hide at that point, and not the meat I was banking on and wanting. So yeah, the other thing with bear too, let's remember, the table fare is amazing. Don't let anyone tell you it's not. Get that hide off quick.
Yeah,
and
as long as it's taken care of properly.
Yeah, like I said, some of the best meat you'll ever have in your freezer and on your plates. People that tell you that, oh, like when it's an old bear, it can get greasy and shitty and blah blah blah. Those are people that just did not know how to prepare foods and prepare the wild game after they've harvested the animal, essentially. So be diligent with the way you take care of it. Be diligent with the way, like, if I get one on a warm day, I'm removing as much of that hide off the cavity. obviously getting that thing field dressed and packing the cavity with ice, and you got to remember how thick that hide is and the warmth it holds. So if you can strip it right then and there, definitely do it. Cover it with cheesecloth after it's stripped of the hides, whatever you got to do, but get that hide off that animal to give yourself the best chance at keeping some really good table fare.
Yeah, the episode that's going to be right before this one is my butcher. And he started his company to process wild game.
Yeah.
And then people started coming in with their animals and was like, hey, do you have beef here too? And he's like, shit, I should probably do that too.
I should probably get into that.
Yeah, so we were talking, and I was like, so what kind of like, what's the best way to do it? Like, what do you want to see, or what's the best thing? And he said, especially when it comes to bears, he's like, get that hide off and get it somewhere cold fast.
Yeah.
Don't hang it up overnight in the spring.
Right.
Not a good idea. If you can get it out and get it to either a butcher's freezer or on ice or something, don't let it hang and be hot and like it's just gonna ruin the meat, right? So yeah, just get it cold as fast as you can. Like we'll even stick we'll get a piece of wood and like the firewood or something and prop it in between and just open up that cavity, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Get the hide off it. He's like, don't get the hide off it and then throw it in the back of your truck or throw it on he was saying don't throw it on a tarp, because then the tarp,
man, sweats it.
And then you get tarp coloring on it, like the tarp, pieces of the tarp peel off. So the best thing to use is just that, like that poly plastic sheets that you can buy. Like, it's pretty cheap. You can probably buy a roll. It'll last you like for a few years, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Just the construction plastic. And he's like, leave it in the back of your truck, get the hide off and get it on there, a clean sheet of it. And he's like, get it somewhere cold fast.
Yeah, that's it. Like I always wrap mine in like cheesecloth or whatever once I get that hide off, just to keep it like clean from where I can have to move it or whatever. But yeah, take care. It's like any other thing you do, right? Like take care of your kill, take care of your harvest, and it's going to turn into better table fare, which in the meantime, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Makes life better.
That's what it's all about. Then you can enjoy it forever, right?
Exactly.
All right. Let's get off here. It's been an hour and a half. Taking up too much of your night. All right. Well, we'll do this again.
Absolutely.
Multiple times throughout the year, I'm sure. So thanks again for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me. Pleasure as always.
Good luck this spring with your all your adventures, especially your redemption bear hunt. Hopefully we can find the one you're looking for.
Yeah.
And finish that story.
Yeah, exactly. So we can get a short film out and play that game.
That'd be awesome. All right.
Have a good night. Cheers, you too.
See ya.